Hello, my Sakonauts. Joyous time zones. I'm Sako Tumi, also known as the Witch of Tylwyth Teg, and today we're going to talk about honor in Condensed Chaos by Phil Hine. All right. I'd like to start this morning with a grounding ritual to start your day. This starts near your domain, so if you've not created a domain, you might want to sign up for my newsletter, which is linked below. I'm going to try and find something without a... It still has a snare, but it'll be fine. Sit with your hands in your lap and close your eyes. Oh my God. Too many tabs. Take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it for a moment. And as you let it out completely through your mouth, let go of the tension from the night and the grogginess of the morning. Take another deep breath in. And as you breathe in, imagine you are breathing in pure love. As you breathe out, imagine you are breathing out forgiveness. Take a third deep breath in, and as you do so, imagine a light coming in at the top of your head. It enters at the top of your head and it spreads down over your face, neck, and shoulders. This cleansing light now expands along your back, down your legs, and out through your feet. It is as if cleansing light is a constant flow of soothing energy. Oh my gosh. Entering from your head and passing out. What? I'm sorry, I just got distracted. Joyous time zone, Christina. Entering from your head and passing out through the arches of your feet. You are just outside the door of your astral temple. The air is crisp and cool. The evergreens sway slightly in the breeze, and the ground has a large patch of moss at your feet. Step barefoot onto the moss. Feel how soft it is. Feel the solid ground underneath. That light coming into your head can now be translated into energy that you can send out your feet. Convert the light into roots and send the roots out the bottoms of your feet and deep into the earth, as deep as you can. The soil is fresh, easy to toil, easy to carve a path down. Feel how anchored you are, how close to the earth. Reach as far down as you can. The earth hugs your roots comfortably, no matter how sharp or curly, no matter how many times they split off. Slowly pull the roots back up the way they came. Your roots slither through the dark, the soil filling in its wake. Pull the roots back into your feet, convert it back to the light, and let the light filter through you and out the top of your head. Take one more deep breath in and begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. When you are ready, open your eyes. Welcome. If you're just joining us, we just did a little grounding ritual. And normally I would pimp out my Patreon, but I'm having issues with it at the moment since it doesn't remember my login. Oh, self-care deck. Oh. I wanted to say hello to Madame Ansa, who has been doing some wonderful streams on her channel. Tarot related. She invented and constructed and did all the things, creating the World Spirit Tarot. She actually did them with like lino cuts, which is amazing to me. And she's been throwing readings and doing tutorials and all of that jazz on her channel. So if you are more interested in learning tarot and seeing an expert kind of like working their magic, I strongly recommend subscribing to Madame Ansa. Hello, Christina. Hello, Katarina. So lovely to see you guys. I'm going to shuffle this deck a little bit. I should break down this blanket fort sometime this weekend, but oh my God, it's so comfortable right now. It's so comfortable. All right, let's see what's up. The Magician reversed. That's not a good sign. I think it's calling me out today. Reversed, the Magician can indicate frustration and lack of clarity. You might feel that you have so much more to give, but that your talents are not being seen, valued, or appreciated. This would be a good time to ask, what is blocking me, and what can I do to change my current circumstances? Something is hindering you from expressing the full range of your skills and keeping you locked in a box, when all you want to do is to be free and flourish. Beware of people and situations that do not have your best interests at heart. Your vulnerability makes you a prime target for manipulation and maybe unintentionally attracting some shady folk. Use your resources to get yourself out of trouble. Protect yourself and don't fall into their traps or be tripped up by your own. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling like this channel specifically is not growing in the hopes that it would be. Where's quit? Bailey and I made a makeshift blanket fort the other day. She Godzilla'd it in about 5 minutes and tore it apart as we built it, but it was so much fun. That's awesome. This week's self-care cards have been on point on some level or another. I know, right? I got the Sacred Self-Care Oracle deck as well. It's outside of the blanket fort, but it's got cards of like specifically things that you can do to care for yourself, like working out or doing yoga or taking a ritual bath or stuff like that. And there's all kinds of stuff. Better for organized chaos than normal toddler tornado things. Yeah. Definitely understand that. All right. Let's talk about honor. Most quasi-religious or transcendentalist magical systems are characterized by an ethical code, which is external to individuals, laid down in some holy book, and almost always broken. Far better than to develop one's own personal rules. It may seem an odd statement for a chaos magician to make, but I believe that having a personal honor code enhances one's ability as a magician. For example, over the years, I have developed my own personal rules about magical acts directed at other people, and will not deviate from them unless a situation fulfills fairly specific criteria. Furthermore, being seen to be honorable in specific ways impresses other people, building one's credibility as an effective magician and as someone who can be relied upon. A sense of honor determines one's actions, and it is usually by others. And it is usually by actions rather than words or postures that one is judged by others. If you like, the points of honor that you decide to live by are the foundations of your personal psychocosm. It is also worth remembering that words have power. If you believe that your words can unleash power and bind entities to your will, then it follows that your own words can bind you too. I joked about Hurricane Bailey last year, and then we had a record hurricane hit our area. Oh, I'm very wary of what I say now. The universe is listening. Chris calls me Hurricane Katrina because the names are so close. Yeah. The universe listens in the worst ways sometimes. Indeed. Point of honor. Your word is your bond. Avoid placing yourself in a situation where your integrity can be questioned. Be aware that people, particularly other magicians, are continually looking at your reputation. It can take years to establish yourself as a magician, but you can blow your reputation away in a single evening. I love you. You're so great and sweet, and I adore the way you hype up others. The world needs more of us hyping each other up, and I'm going to take that page out of your book. You kick ass. I agree. I like hanging out with Katarina. If I say so, I will try. If I say I shall, I will do. If I say I promise, I am bound. If you say you will do something, then you must do it. If you are dependable, people will have confidence in you. The more confidence you have in you, they have in you, the more powerful a magician you will become. Equally, if you cannot realistically do something, then it is the mark of quality to say that you cannot do it. This point is particularly pertinent if you choose to perform magic on behalf of other people. Oh, we love you too. I was 10 when Katrina hit. At that point, I was having an identity crisis and insisted on being called Katrina. Then the hurricane hit, and I was like, nah, fam. Yeah. It's funny. My crisis name was Samantha. Resolve problems. If problems occur, they should be dealt with as soon as possible. The longer a problem is left, the less likely it is that it will be resolved. If a problem relating to another person cannot be resolved, then contact them as soon as possible anyway. Prompt dealing with problems is generally appreciated. Admit errors. It is better to attempt to, let me try that again. It is better to admit a mistake freely without reservation than to attempt to cover it up. This also builds credibility, providing, of course, you do something about the problem. So interesting. My sister's crisis name was technically her middle name, so I don't know that that counts. That's really funny, crisis name. And I was about 10 or 11 when I went through it. I was in college. I've always loathed being called Katrina, but it was funny, especially when Chris joked about it getting a disaster break on his taxes. Waka waka. These points are mostly related to how you deal with other people. From the perspective of the chaos magic, the mark of an effective magician is the ability to deal effectively with other people in a wide range of life situations. If you strive to uphold these points of honor and others towards other people, then you will be more likely to apply them to yourself. Now we're going to move on to attentiveness, the A in chaos. Situations are more complex and subtle than most people are willing to recognize. It pays to be attentive to what is happening around you. Beware of being overconfident or too tense. Beware of anything that dulls your attentiveness to others. The practice of deconditioning, which I shall discuss in due course, is important in this respect. You must be able to distinguish between the world as it is and how you would like it to be. One example which demonstrates this necessity is the conversational feedback. If you are talking to someone else with a specific purpose in mind, such as convincing them of the need to buy a product, then it should be fairly obvious that you need to pay attention to the way in which they respond to what you are saying. Such feedback can be verbal, words or tone of voice, and nonverbal, facial response, body posture, etc. And in order to be effective, you will need to be you will need to be able to correctly interpret the other's reaction and change the tactics accordingly. Often, though, people do not pay attention to feedback as their attention has been diverted. This may be due to a lack of or overconfidence. or overconfidence in the situation. That was a weird sentence, I'm sorry. In other words, they have already decided the outcome, either as success or failure, and are unwilling to let anything that the other person says alter their conclusion. Another reason may be that the speaker has invested so much self-importance in what he is saying that the listener's response is not important. It may help in this regard to discuss the qualities of intuition as a refined form of attentiveness. Intuition is often referred in terms of being a mysterious sixth sense, which is somehow related to psychic powers and the like. This reflects how we model the cognitive patterns which we use to make conclusions, rather than anything mysterious or paranormal. Partially, the ability we call intuition is the capacity to arrive at decisions without moving through the process of conscious, logical deduction. Another key part of this ability is our skill at being able to recognize very small sensory cues and gain an overall impression or gestalt. Again, without using linear cognition. What is also of interest is that intuitional responses often seem to appear without being prompted, when we are relaxed or not thinking about the subject of thought. Intuition is also contextual. When I worked as a therapist in a busy psychiatric department, I found that I was beginning to make snap diagnoses of clients without having had access to their case notes, and that in at least 8 out of 10 cases, I proved to be right. A few years later, I began to lead seminars in magical training, and I found that in that time, I could make fairly accurate distinctions between people who had, during an exercise, entered a fairly deep level of trance and those who were faking it. In each case, I knew what signs to look for and was processing very rapidly a wide variety of feedback cues without being aware of anything but the cognitive outcome. Like confidence, attention can be considered to be a skill. One level of the skill is training yourself to be very aware of your environment at any time, while at the same time remaining detached, empty of preconceptions and expectations, and above all, relaxed. Another level of skill is learning to accept whatever impressions arise in your mind without dismissing them, or for that matter, latching onto them to the extent that later impressions are excluded. To be effective, a magician needs to be attentive not only to his external surroundings, but to his own emotions, motivational complexes, desires, habits, and internal dialogues. Organization, which is the O in chaos. A contemporary definition of magic is that it is an organization of the imagination. To be effective in that world, organization is required, whatever one is doing. In the course of writing this book, I have had to lay down a sequence of themes which I wanted to develop through the narrative. Similarly, to perform a magical ritual, I have to prepare a framework of organized coherence. As noted earlier, there is a great tendency to view approaches to magic as systems. There are the variants of Kabbalah, Wicca, shamanism, Satanism, and etc. Many of these systems have models of symbolically ordering the representing the universe. Let me try that again. Many of these systems have models of symbolically ordering and representing the universe. Some are highly abstract, such as the Western Kabbalah, while others have varying degrees of interpenetration with everyday experience. Generally, we use such models to structure, interpret, and evaluate magical experiences. Some champions of these approaches have been criticized in chaos magic, as they feel that the term chaos implies disorder, and the advocates of chaos magic are proposing a disorganized approach to magic. Chaos magic are... let me just try that again. This is largely due to misperception of the chaos approach, which tends to view the use of magical systems as a matter for personal preference. As I have already shown, the term chaos need not refer to disorder, and similarly, being organized need not mean that you have assigned everything to a rigid place and cannot deviate from it, but that you have prepared yourself in readiness for action. Is organization a skill? Obviously so, if it improves with practice, and your effectiveness in organizing yourself will depend on your skill at being relaxed and attentive. If you make organization an important point in your honor code, then other people will view you as effective and competent, which will tend to increase your effectiveness even further. Obviously, there is a feedback loop in operation here. If you have organized yourself in preparation for a task, then you will find it easier to relax when performing the task, and consequently, the more confident you can become concerning its outcome. Your ability to structure your thoughts and identify key areas in a situation which require particular attention is also key to practical sorcery. Strive for excellence. In a way, this is the axis of the whole issue of being a magician. Being a magician is not a state of being, but a dynamic engagement. Becoming an adept in many ways is tantamount to becoming very good at doing lots of things. The more you practice magic, the more you will discover about yourself, other people, and the world in general. Do what you will to do to the best of your ability. Erudition. If you would aspire to teach, to lead, or to inspire, then you need to have not only knowledge of, but confidence in your chosen field. A worthy comment from Robert Anton Wilson in this respect is that specialization is for insects, which hits me really hard. Powerful magicians have a wide ranging interests that crosses into many different fields, but they are bound by none of them. Similarly, it is not enough to have access to specialized knowledge. Great care must be taken as to how that knowledge is expressed. Sensitivity, the S in chaos. Being sensitive does not mean that you are fragile, that as a result of an adverse comment, you shrink away and spend the next 6 weeks hiding from everyone else. No, I am referring to a wide range of skills which include discrimination, prudence, tact, care, and empathy. To be sensitive requires that you have an awareness of the needs and emotions of other people. Indeed, sensitivity can extend into the level of perception which we tend to associate with psychic powers and intuitive thoughts, which turn out to be correct. Again, sensitivity is a skill which can be learned. At its simplest level, it is the art of listening to what others are saying. Much of what I have written about attention is pertinent here, but sensitivity requires that you not only be aware of subtle nuances in a situation, but that you can react appropriately, with intelligence, prudence, and tact. The skill of sensitivity is a further illustration of the self-other distinction discussed in the previous chapter. We are often too caught up in our own self-images to really pay attention to other people, or even to take account of other people's feelings in a situation. If, for example, I am too concerned with what I think other people are thinking about me, then I am likely not going to be sensitive to their actual reactions. Moreover, it is unlikely that I will be able to respond effectively if I am too concerned with myself. Again, sensitivity requires relaxation. Sensitivity also requires that we are aware of complexities, especially given the common tendency to reduce any situation that it conforms with our expectations. For example, it is all too easy to believe that people who share common interests with us will be similar in other ways. Obviously, this is not the case. If we stop and think about it. But in a live situation, it is easy to forget this and make a mistake without ever realizing that you have erred. Again, this relates to the self-other divide. If you are confident and relaxed, then you will be in a better position to be sensitive to the differences of another person and adjust your own behavior accordingly. Sensitivity is useful whenever you are in a situation where you have to pay attention to anything other than your own inner dialogues, whether the other be people, animals, ecosystems, or spirits. The sensitive are the ones who survive. Hi, Debbie. Long time no see, love. A practical way in which sensitivity can be developed is to cultivate a danger sense. You might have this already, particularly if you are given to wandering around dangerous neighborhoods in inner cities. All too often, we may experience this inner warning and dismiss it. There may be no logical or rational reason that will uphold this sense of danger. In my own experience, I have found that ignoring the prickling of my danger sense is a mistake. This can apply not only to situations, but to people. This latter is more complex. If you have a sudden perception that someone you have just met is going to be trouble, it can be very difficult to act on that basis when there is no explanation to support it. But I have always found that it is a mistake not to. The danger sense often has an element of prescience to it. The danger may not be immediately present, but it's out there waiting. If you pay attention to your danger sense and learn to trust it, then you will find that at times it expands, becoming an aura of expectation, a foreshadowing that something is about to happen. Such sensitivity is an achievement. It arises as a byproduct of your discipline and awareness. Don't try to explain it or force it to be there. Just listen to it. It might save your or someone else's life. A friend of mine was on a bus with his girlfriend on the way home from a party. Suddenly, they both had the feeling that something undefinable was wrong, and so they didn't get off the bus at their usual stop, but at the next one. Walking back home, they passed their usual dropping point only to find that two cars had collided nearby and flattened the stop sign. Had they left the bus at that point, they would have been killed when the cars collided. And then we get into chapter 4, another crack in the wall. So, moral of the story is we want to be confident, we want to be relaxed, we want to be attentive. In being attentive, we want to be sensitive. What's the O? Was there an O? Organization. We want to be organized, which usually means we want to be prepared, right? Oh, I only have one sip of coffee left. Sad times. Maybe I will get more coffee. I only have one pod left. Hopefully my husband will go to the store today. I hope so. So how are you guys doing today? Hey, teacher, leave those kids alone. Yeah, I know, right? But they talk about drat. The keys to becoming a magician are relatively simple. So simple, in fact, that people tend to overlook them in search of complex systems of belief and abstraction. An example of simplicity is the drat formula for action. Discipline, relaxation, attention, and transformation. Oh, so sad. Oh no, so sad about the coffee. Oh. Another crack in the wall sent me into parodying Pink Floyd. Rooster thinks I'm awesome. All in all, we are just another dick with no ball. I'm going to get more coffee, and I think I'm going to take you with me. It's going to be a thing. Been having to deal with kids' school a lot this week. Oh, that's exciting. Oh my goodness. What are you doing on the table? Get up, get off. I don't like kitty feet where people eat. I don't. So dealing with the kids' school a lot this week, I suspect that you have had to be attentive and confident. You've had to be a little bit organized because you've got to put yourself in the headspace. There we go. I need to actually push the button. So I would say being magically minded when dealing with like school for children would be essential, or at least beneficial. That way it's not anxiety inducing. Or you say the wrong thing at the wrong time. I usually don't think of all the things that can go wrong in a situation. I try to think of all the things I can do right. And then if it goes wrong, the show must go on, right? So I just move on. And that level of confidence of not thinking of a mistake as a failure I do not think of mistakes as failure. I think of them as part of the journey of getting better at something. $50. Magical Diary Horse Hall on Moon Bunny Creative's Twitch channel in 50 minutes. Which is great fun, I have to admit. Oh, I think I might smoke my last cigarette too. So, what do you guys think of the CHAOS concept of applying magic to your life? Or at least it puts you in a position where you can let magic into your life. Saint Debbie, you like it a lot. I know Jace has general anxiety, but who else? Chaos magic makes sense, yeah. Doesn't it? I think a lot of this stuff is easier said than done. Like the idea of being confident, like be confident. Like, how does one go about doing that, right? I go about doing it as not thinking of mistakes as failures. So in times of crisis or when something goes wrong, I don't think of it as completely derailing what I am doing, which can be construed as confidence, I suppose. Oh. Where is my sleeve? There is my sleeve. Saint Debbie. Debbie made me laugh. Saint Debbie, indeed. So does applying these tenets to your life, does that make you a saint? The whole concept of constantly being in a state of awareness and a state of preparation. I think I read a thing yesterday that was basically talking about how talking to yourself through various futures can prepare you, can make you aware of and make you more confident in the situation that you're rehearsing, right? This is gonna work, I swear it is. So where on the scale of magician or normie, like, where do you think you fit? I wonder, of course, my text doesn't quite show up unless I'm like there. So it makes sense, right? But how feasible is it? This morning, Savvy and RK were talking about the concept of luck and how luck and privilege were a factor in their success. Now, the trick with that is with chaos magic or Buddhism. They both feel like they can change their luck, that they can change their karma. That you can be receptive to the gifts of the universe by not thinking about them. You put it out there, and then by some magic of luck, some stroke of luck, it comes to fruition. For instance, my mother lives in Virginia a good chunk of the year with me and my husband. And I think I low-key wished that she would stay in Florida and that Greg and I would have run of the house without her. So how does the universe provide? I think it helps to have privilege where luck is concerned. You need to have the privilege to accept the luck. Right? So Savvy has known her husband since they were 11 years old. But she was unaware that she was... I wouldn't beat yourself up about your mom. I'm not beating myself up. I'm just saying the universe provided in a really abstract and kind of fucked up way. So she has to stay in Florida for treatment. So is that luck, or is that my karma? That something terrible has to happen in order for me to benefit? Like the settlement, right? I was in a terrible accident where I was injured quite extensively with a broken elbow and a fucked up neck. And I got a lawyer, I lawyered up, and I got $18,000 out of it. You don't think it's karma? Is it chaos if I wish for these things and they come to fruition, but at a cost? I think there is definitely a trade-off in my fortune. Let's see if this is cool enough to drink. Sort of. Well, as much power as we can hold. I don't think that we hold that much power. Sickness is random and mean, but not karmic. I don't think that your sickness is karmic. I mean, a lot of people think that. A lot of people think that. Think what? What do a lot of people think? That they don't believe in karma? I think I've always been. I have creamer on my keyboard. That's great. I think my sickness is karmic. A lot of people think that sickness is karmic. I don't think so. I think there is cause and effect. And you think karma and sickness have nothing to do with each other. Have you always been sick? I think it is a life point that makes your life more difficult. Yes, I've had issues since before birth. Yeah, I got you. They thought I was going to be a boy because my heartbeat was so strong. And now I have an arrhythmia and scarring on my heart. Because I think I worked out too hard one day and I felt like I was dying. And it turns out I was right. So I want to thank you guys for joining me this morning, all three of you. And yeah. So there has always been like another foot, right? But I'm trying to change my perspective of said feet. So when something terrible happens, I expect something good to happen. As opposed to not appreciating the good because I'm expecting something terrible to screw it up. So that was a shift in. Many people think we choose this, and I don't think so. I think the universe is random and chaos magic just helps corral the chaos like a sheepdog. Yes. I think you're getting the gist of it. Sister was born with a heart murmur. I think you meant murmur, right? Unless mimer is a thing that I don't know about. And I don't think it is the child's fault that chaos kind of like puts them in that situation. I don't think it's anyone's fault. But I am of the mind that I can change my reality by perspective. Right? So by thinking of obstacles as pathways to wisdom, as pathways to benefit, it makes my life a lot more bearable. And it makes me more grateful for, like, you got to have the bad days to have the good, which is something my dad told me when I was going through a mental breakdown. I buy that. Shifting mindset is huge. Yeah. Now the trick is I've had to have catalysts for this mind shift, right? So, for instance, you got to have the bad days to appreciate the good. Was something my dad said, and this is the other foot, is something that my husband said. Like I've had, or for instance, when I was found out that I was more injured than I had let on from the accident, they said to lawyer up. So that changed my mindset regarding how I was looking at my health. Control what you can and chilled about the rest. I have my friends help me reshift. Yeah. My friends help me reshift. My people close to me help me reshift. I think because my bill was so high at the chiropractor's office, so they were like, hey, so you don't have to pay $5 to $7 grand. You might want to get a lawyer and, actually, and you're not suing the person, you're suing the insurance company. So there was a lot of deliberation that I did about that. I had to be reassured that I wasn't taking the person who hit me down just so that I could benefit. But I don't know what that did to their record. I don't know. I don't know. That makes sense, yeah. So, if you liked this video at any point, please hit the like button. If you would like to see what we talk about for DRAT, for action, then please hit subscribe. And I will catch you guys on the flip side.